You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Good morning. Happy Friday. Happy Venus Day. Let's get ready for the weekend. First of all, how's everybody feeling? If you're watching live, let me know how the energy has been feeling for you over the past couple days and how Venus retrograde is treating you, because Venus retrograde is really going to heat up this weekend. And I'll walk you through that, but we're really feeling its energy more strongly day by day. And of course, Venus, the planet of love, the planet of money, going retrograde, really making us review those areas of our life and maybe making us reassess our long-term commitments or investments. So that's going to dominate our weekend as the sun is coming into a conjunction with Venus retrograde, really shining light on that energy. We have the moon in Pisces today. It moves into Aries tonight, I believe. Yeah, by 9:30 p.m. Pacific time tonight, so overnight for some of you, depending on where you live. And the moon in Aries becomes the first quarter moon on Sunday, so that's kind of the end cap to the weekend. So we're going to talk through it all, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so you are prepared. So let's start with today. The moon is in Pisces, as I mentioned. You can see right now it's at 23 degrees Pisces. So this morning, it's pretty obvious what happened. A conjunction with Neptune happened at about 4 a.m. Pacific time. So maybe right when you were waking up on the East Coast, depending on where you live. But this is something that we were certainly feeling and experiencing early this morning. And I also want to note, even before that, depending on where you live, you might have felt this more strongly if you were awake at this time. 2 a.m. Pacific time, the moon formed a sextile to Venus. So Venus retrograde, as we just talked about, in Capricorn at 19 degrees. When the moon was at 19 degrees, about 2 a.m., it formed this nice 60-degree angle to Venus. So that brought a little bit of support when it comes to our love and affection. However, this only brings our awareness more to what we're re-examining, our emotional attachment or relationship to love, relationships, money, commitments, reflecting on our values. That might have come up for you overnight. And with that sextile happening right before the conjunction to Neptune, I'm curious if anybody had some wild dreams last night. I know I did. And all of my dreams had to do with those themes of my relationship or my values were definitely prominent in my dreams. And I say dreams because when the moon forms a conjunction to Neptune, it really enhances and amplifies our subconscious mind, that dream state. So for those of us who were still asleep when this conjunction happened at 4 a.m. Pacific time, we might have experienced pretty intense or strong dreams when these two planets merged, especially both of them being in Pisces, the sign of kind of the ether, subconscious dreams. This is really going to amplify our dream state. So that's the energy we're coming into Friday experiencing. Let me know if you had wild dreams, what they were about last night, how you woke up feeling as well, because we're talking about the moon's transit. So it's all about our emotional state, all about our feelings, all about our body. What did it feel like in your body when you woke up from that dream? That can actually be communication or messages from spirit, God, the universe coming through your dreams, because our subconscious is more open to receiving, right? Our conscious mind wants to have a reason for everything, an explanation for everything, but our subconscious is much more open to messages, especially when we're in that dream state and when we are sleeping. So whatever was happening in your dreams could be an indication of what's been weighing on your mind in waking life. By 3 p.m. Pacific time on Friday, the moon forms another supportive angle, this time to Pluto. And what's nice about the moon transiting through Pisces down here is that all these planets in Capricorn and Aquarius, we had all those conjunctions earlier in the week as the moon transited across this part of the chart. But now that it's about 60 degrees away, we're forming supportive angles to each of these planets as the moon moves through Pisces and then into Aries. So we're getting a lot of support for the moon, which is nice. However, sextiles, 60-degree angles, do require some action to fully appreciate their benefits. So don't just expect things to happen to you or realizations to come out of nowhere. You do have to put in a little bit of effort, a little bit of work to fully see the potential of these transits. So when the moon forms a sextile to Pluto around 3 p.m. Pacific time, this can really unearth our deep emotions. Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth, and the Pisces moon is hypersensitive as well. So this can be a moment to release. If those deep emotions are coming up, let them come up and let them come out. Release them. And that can be a moment of healing. Even just loosening your grip or letting go of attachment or control can be that action needed to experience the benefits of this sextile. A cord cutting exercise could be really transformational today. Or even just, with the moon in Pisces, our subconscious can be a little bit more active. Like sitting in meditation is a great way of using sextiles to your advantage. It's that signal out to the universe, God, spirit, that, okay, I'm here, I'm ready to receive, I'm ready to up level, whatever that looks like for you and what you're trying to get out of today. The moon forming a sextile to Pluto also invites us to embrace our shadows, to appreciate our shadows. It sounds difficult to do, right? But if you can fully embrace your shadows, if you can fully embrace the parts of yourself that are difficult to to love, then you can fully embrace your light as well. This transit really invites us to have faith, to trust, to believe in our own ability to transform. Pluto is that, like I said, death and rebirth, phoenix rising from the ashes, and the moon in Pisces can give us a deeper ability to believe. So believe in your own transformation. Believe in the transformation of others this Friday. Give other people the space to work out whatever they're working out. We're all feeling Venus retrograde. We're all feeling the sensitive Pisces moon. When the moon forms a sextile to Pluto, particularly this afternoon, a lot of us are likely to experience some intense emotions. This just looks like emotional intensity in general. Believe in our ability as a collective, your ability as a human, your loved ones' abilities to transform their fear into faith. If they have a hard time seeing that, be the example, be the light, show them that it's possible. Show them what is possible through your own transformation. So after the moon connects with Pluto at 3 p.m., it goes void for the next 6 or so hours. So Friday night, who is going to start a project on a Friday night? I don't know. I might because I'm a Virgo, but Projects or endeavors started this afternoon likely won't bear a lot of fruit or produce anything significant. However, if you are needing to have a difficult conversation or you want to let loose a little bit, take a risk, doing so under the void moon also shouldn't cause any catastrophes. So a void moon is a great opportunity to do some dirty work. Put yourself out there. Anything you might be afraid normally that would end in a disaster. If you're feeling brave today or you're feeling that urge to do it, doing it under the void moon can give you that reassurance that nothing bad will come of it. And also, this is a great time to just rest. It's been a long week. We've had a ton of conjunctions with the moon. This conjunction to Neptune this morning being the last one for a while, other than Chiron, which is, we'll talk about that too. We'll talk about that over the weekend. But that, long line of conjunctions I was just referencing when the moon was transiting through Capricorn, then Aquarius, that is coming to an end. So it's been a really emotionally packed week. We could all use a little bit of rest this afternoon. And then the moon moves into Aries at 9:30 p.m. Pacific time, so overnight for many of you who live farther east. And Pisces, the moon being in Pisces now, that's the last sign of the zodiac. So this is really a time for closure, endings, healing, realizations, emotional healing, emotional clarity maybe. Maybe not clarity because we do have that conjunction to Neptune. So that can bring confusion as well. Today can be like a confusing day emotionally, unfortunately. So yeah, not a day to make decisions. Definitely not a day to start anything. Today is a day of endings, of closure, of healing. But when the moon moves into Aries tonight and over the weekend, we can start anew. That's the first sign of the zodiac. We get a fresh lease on our energy. We get a little bit of fire again. And we can have a renewed sense of motivation and determination over the next couple days. So these are the last few hours of the sensitive moon in Pisces, drumming up all of our emotions and confusion and illusions and sensitivities on our Friday, connecting with Venus retrograde, connecting with Neptune, the planet of confusion, illusion, dreams, and then connecting with Pluto, which is going to just intensify those emotions. But once the moon goes void on Friday afternoon and moves into Aries, we can all just take a deep breath, let out a collective sigh, and start anew when it comes to our emotional cycle. So that's what's going on Friday. Now let's move on to Saturday and the energy that Saturday is bringing. This brings our most intense, our headline transit of the weekend. And that is the sun forming a conjunction to Venus retrograde. Lovely. If you were already feeling this Venus retrograde energy, expect to feel it even a little bit more over the weekend. I hate to say that. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's the situation, friends. So hold on, let me pull this up. So I have all of the transits in front of me, but I'll also fast forward on our chart here so you can see, go forward a day. All right, so here we are, January 8th, 2022. We've made it through our first week of 2022. Congratulations, you're here, you made it. I know it's only been a week of the year, but I think we could all use some credit, right? We need the credit. Goodness gracious, why? It's also worth mentioning at this moment that Mercury is in its shadow period right now, so if you've been having tech issues, they're probably going to keep coming. Mercury goes retrograde next week on January 14th, so the 2 weeks before, the 2 weeks after. So when Mercury starts to slow down, enter its shadow period, and we start to feel those tech issues, glitches, communication issues. And with Venus retrograde in the mix, this could make for some heated arguments, could make for some conflict. And, before I move on to Saturday, I also want to point out one more thing. Last night at 10 p.m., the Pisces moon squared off to Mars, the planet of aggression, the planet of impulses, the god of war. And a square brings conflict. So if there was any conflict in your life last night, your heart, just know that there is a reason for that. Again, the Pisces moon makes us more sensitive. Mars is in Sagittarius, making us a little more fiery, a little more impulsive, a little more willing to go there. So if you're feeling that as well, I feel you. I'm right there with you. We're all going through the same energy right now. But let's move on to Saturday. And this sun forming a conjunction to Venus. That happens at 5 p.m. Saturday. So like I said, this will really be the energy carrying us through the weekend, especially if you live in other parts of the world. You might be feeling this a little bit more on Sunday. So you can see here, the sun and Venus meet in Capricorn. What does this mean, especially with Venus being retrograde? Well, a normal conjunction between the sun and Venus makes us feel a little bit more loving. We have stronger attraction and desire, with Venus being the planet of love. And the sun just shines light on that. They meet in the sky, and, their energies merge, they're amplified. So our desires and attraction will be more potent over the weekend as Venus passes through the heart of the sun. However, Venus being retrograde means all of those issues that we've been dealing with since the middle of December when Venus went retrograde, that we'll continue to deal with through January, will have a spotlight shined on them. So this can put the focus on past issues in relationships, past relationships altogether, your exes, values. It could be easy to slip into a former version of yourself, especially in relationships or when it comes to how you relate to your finances and money over the weekend. So pay attention. You might just feel more nostalgic in general, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but just kind of pay attention to your own tendencies, your own behavior over the weekend. Are you fully stepping into everything you have been working on, right? Everything you've been learning? Or are you falling back, slipping back into past versions of yourself that maybe you left in the past for a reason? So yeah, Venus retrograde energy will be very strong this weekend, with the sun forming that conjunction, really just illuminating all of those issues that we're reviewing and we're revising under this retrograde. Retrogrades don't have to be all bad. Again, this is a time to go back. As Venus appears to be moving backwards, we can go back too, which is why it's easy to slip into those past versions of ourselves. However, this is an opportunity, right, to reflect on your values, reflect on your desires, what it is you really want in life. And your values can be your compass if there's any confusion about the direction forward, especially under today's Pisces moon. If you're feeling more confused about relationships or purpose or meaning or whatever it is, go back to your values. What do you value? What do you want in life? This is a great time to ask yourself those questions. The moon is in Aries throughout the weekend, making a couple connections on Saturday, first at 11 a.m. So we will rewind a little bit here. And that is a nice, again, sextile to Mercury. So when the moon hits 7 degrees Aries, it's 60 degrees away exactly from Mercury in Aquarius. This can be a positive aspect because it's a supportive angle. This will make us feel a little bit more social, a little bit more talkative. especially with that Aries moon energy. We'll just be, feeling a little bit more fiery, feeling a little bit more outgoing. So we'll like being around other people, but we can also feel confident in ourself as Aries rules the self. We can feel more confident in a crowd because we're confident in ourselves, but that Mercury and Aquarius energy allows us to enjoy being around other people, conversing with other people, communicating with other people. We just have to put ourselves out there first. That's that action we have to take in order to take advantage of this sextile between the moon and Mercury. This transit can also help us express our desires, have more realizations about our motivations. So again, going back to that reflection on your values component, this transit between the moon and Mercury can help you do that, help you see that higher perspective and understand the bigger picture, where you fall into the grand scheme of things. So that's the first transit we experience on Saturday. That's at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Then by 1 p.m., this is that last conjunction I was warning you about. The moon forms a conjunction to Chiron, the wounded healer, as if the sun forming a conjunction to Venus retrograde wasn't enough to bring up our past pain and past relationships. Well, we also have this conjunction between the moon and Chiron. And Chiron is that icy outer body in the solar system that is called the wounded healer. It represents our deepest wounds and our ability to heal those wounds, and furthermore, our ability to heal others when we heal our own wounds. So past wounds might be coming up for you on Saturday as well, as we move through the energy of Venus moving through the sun, moving through the path of the sun, literally. And yeah, this could make for kind of a painful Saturday, depending on, where you're at in your own journey. If you have been on a healing journey, if you have done a lot of work this year, give yourself credit for that. And remember that healing is not linear. Healing is not a destination, it is a journey. And often it looks like that, right? Often there are ups and downs. There's going to be peaks and valleys. So when the moon forms a conjunction to Chiron, especially the moon being in Aries, this can make us more impulsive or reactive. If our wounds are provoked, we can lash out on other people a little bit more easily when these two planets, these two energies merge, because this is like Chiron and the moon are like prodding our deepest wounds under this transit. And again, Venus retrograde, Mercury in its shadow period, like give other people grace, give yourself grace, because there could be some conflict surrounding these transits. However, how to use this conjunction to your benefit between the moon and Chiron: break a sweat, move your body. That can help you move through any discomfort. If you're experiencing anger or sadness or despair with those wounds being triggered, moving your body can help you shift out of that energy, move through this transit. Luckily, this is just a moon transit, so it's only going to last a couple hours most potently. So tomorrow afternoon, Saturday afternoon, intentionally doing something to move energy through your body can help you move through this a little bit more easily. So Saturday is kind of a doozy in the astrological world, with the sun forming a conjunction to Venus retrograde, with Mercury in the mix, bringing those realizations through, and the moon forming a conjunction to Chiron, activating our deepest wounds. This might not be terrible for everybody. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news here at all. I always try to find the silver lining, the positive for you. This could look like a moment of deep healing. This could look like a transformational moment during Venus's retrograde through Capricorn. This could be that aha moment of, oh, these are my values. This is what's important to me. This is what I want long term, because the sun is our consciousness. So when it forms a conjunction with Venus retrograde, as we've been asked to reflect on all of these things, our commitments, our investments, love, money, it could be that light bulb that goes off when Venus transits through the heart of the sun. So that's our Saturday. Super fun. Hopefully you have some fun plans. And I think it's also, this just came through to me. Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde, collectively, it can kind of feel like we're moving backwards. And the state of the world right now feels a little bit like that, with mask mandates going back into effect in some places, with some cities even putting, restrictions back in place, with the Omicron variant, all these things. There's a lot of fear around COVID yet again. So, that could provoke our wounds and our fears. A lot of us, everybody, I would say, experienced some level of trauma because of the pandemic. We were out of control. We are out of control still. So those feelings could be coming back up for you as well. Just keep that in mind. Again, give yourself grace, give other people grace, move your body, focus on what you can control, and it should help you move through this with a little bit more ease. Okay, let's move on to Sunday. We got through the most intense transits, so that's good news. And Sunday, January 9th, we have the first quarter moon in Aries. So we've been under a waxing moon all week, and a waxing moon, specifically a waxing crescent moon, asks us to plan and prepare. So think about what intentions you set under the Capricorn new moon right after New Year's. You might have been thinking about those intentions. How are you going to make those things happen? Especially as the moon has been in Pisces throughout the later half of the week. We're envisioning our big dreams. We're envisioning those intentions, what we want to call in. But once the moon reaches its first quarter stage, we can start to take action. And it's really nice that this first quarter moon is in Aries because it's the sign of action. It gives us that motivation, that drive to start moving towards our goals. We'll start to feel that on Sunday into the next week, starting to feel a little bit more fire, a little bit more energy to act, to do, to move towards the things that we want the most in 2022. So we'll talk about the moon first, and then I'll give you a little overview of a couple minor transits that are happening on Sunday as well. All right. I said the most intense transits were over, and I lied. I'm sorry, because I just looked at the transits for Sunday, and we have some squares. We have some squares between the Aries moon and some planets in Capricorn. And Aries energy is already a little bit aggressive, a little bit fiery, a little bit impulsive. And Capricorn energy can be kind of cold and distant and harsh. So first, at 8 a.m. on Sunday, the moon squares off to Venus retrograde. Lovely. So, we had the moon squaring off to Mars on Thursday night. Now the moon is squaring off to Venus retrograde on Sunday morning. That means the period between Friday, Saturday, Sunday, this is a time that's going to bring up all the shit. It's going to bring out your anger. It's going to bring out your aggression. You might be more needy on Sunday morning when the moon squares off to Venus retrograde. You might have more rash emotional reactions. There could be conflict in relationships, conflict over finances, conflict internally about your values, about what you really want long term. So give yourself grace. I've said that 10 times already, and I'll keep saying it. Give yourself some grace. And through all of these difficult transits, whatever emotions are coming up for you, they are there to show you something. If you're especially triggered, that's an indicator that there's something within you surrounding that trigger that is still unhealed. Okay, so even intense transits, even aggressive transits, even emotional transits have a purpose. They're here to show us something. What are your emotions showing you? That is the question to ask yourself throughout this weekend. So that's 8 a.m. We start our Sunday with a square between the moon and Venus retrograde. Ouch. Then by, right around the same time, actually, because we have this conjunction between Venus retrograde and the sun, the moon is also squaring off to the sun and forming a trine to Mars. So let me go to 8 a.m. Sunday so I can show you what this looks like. Go back a few hours here. Okay, that should be good. So, the moon hits about 18 degrees Aries. You can see it squaring off to Venus and the Sun over here in Capricorn. And then when it hits 19 degrees, about an hour later, it forms a nice flowing angle, a harmonious angle to Mars. Now, normally, you know, we love a trine, we love a flowing angle, but when Mars is involved, this means that our aggression can come through more easily, we can be more impulsive, we can be more reactive, more spontaneous. With the other energies involved, that's not necessarily a good thing. So the moon squares off to Venus retrograde, bringing conflict between our emotions and our ability to be affectionate. Bringing conflict between our current state and what we desire, our long-term goals. But it also squares off to the Sun, bringing this tension between our inner and outer self, making it hard to distinguish what we do really want, how we do feel. And then that trine to Mars can make that irritability, stress come through more easily. We can take actions more easily, which is nice under a first quarter moon. Just make sure the actions you're taking are going to actually be beneficial to you and the people around you. Like, don't just act to act. Don't just act to get your emotions out, right? Like, be mindful of what actions you are taking. Be mindful of the energy around you. Be mindful of your own energy and how you're filling a room with it, right? Take responsibility for your own energy. That goes for the entire weekend, but especially on Sunday morning when the moon is forming these squares to Venus and the Sun, this looks like conflict. It looks like, it looks like conflict. Whether that's internal, external, there's likely going to be some conflict over the weekend. And that's okay. It's okay. Conflict isn't necessarily bad. Again, it's like those difficult emotions. It's there to show us what still needs to be healed. So if conflict is coming up for you, ask, what can I do with this, right? Like, envision whatever the issue is in your hand. What are you here to show me? What can I do with you? And that trine to Mars can help you take action from that standpoint, right? Like, okay, you're showing me something. What do I do with this? So try to have that mindset and think about why these things are coming up for you. If you believe in astrology, if you believe in a higher power, the universe, then you subscribe to the belief that everything is happening around you for a reason. Everything in our solar system is moving to show you, to teach you lessons, right? So when these difficult emotions come up, when conflict arises, it's an invitation to grow. It's an invitation to level up, to ask what needs to be healed, to give yourself what you need. A lot of times that internal conflict is just our body telling us, hey, you're not taking care of me. You're not taking care of me right now. You're not giving me what I need. You're not making me feel safe. So that could be something that comes up for you as well. And then the last moon transit of the weekend is a square to Pluto. Like, gosh. So, again, this can force us to face our deepest emotions. This can bring conflict, really intense conflict, power struggles as well. And that's this weekend for you. Like, that is Friday, Saturday, Sunday in a nutshell. But the positive, I always have to find the positive for you guys. The positive between the Aries moon squaring off to Pluto in Capricorn is that this can activate our transformation. This could look like an ego death. This could look like destruction in order to rebuild something new. This could look like release in order to start fresh under the first quarter moon. Just beware of obsession, compulsion, not letting things go, taking things too far, doing things for the sake of having control and power. Those issues could come up. And that's 11 p.m. on Sunday. So that could even bleed into Monday, depending on where you live. But just, I don't even know what to say at this point to like make this sound better. Susan got it right. Good morning. She says, wow, this is some intensity for the weekend. I better get out walking on the trail alone. Like seriously, that's a great idea, Susan. Being alone isn't necessarily a bad thing either. And the Aries moon, once the moon moves into Aries on Friday night, can give us more of a sense of independence. And that might be nice for you with all of this conflict going on. If you are experiencing that inner conflict, even that inner turmoil, being alone and sitting in silence or just being with yourself, whatever that looks like for you, could be a great way to get to the root of the problem more easily, to understand yourself more quickly, right? If you don't have outside influences. So I love that idea, Susan. You are right on point. The only other two transits happening on Sunday are a conjunction between Mars and Lilith. So that happens at 1 p.m. And let me see, pull it up on the chart here. Let's see. Or it looks like actually an opposition, I should say, between Mars and Lilith. So Lilith is that inner bitch. She's the black moon. She is, so this could make us feel just a little more angry, feisty. Our inner bitch can come out more easily under this transit. It can be hard to move forward because she's kind of holding you back. Beware of that as well. And then Mercury forms a sextile to Chiron, the wounded healer. So this has some positive aspects during all of this conflict, all of this tension. When Mercury in Aquarius forms a sextile to Chiron and Aries, we can understand higher perspectives. We can think a little bit differently, especially when it comes to our healing. So this could bring supportive conversations or communication around healing on Sunday evening. This is happening at 6 p.m. Pacific time, so late Sunday night, early Monday morning for others. But after all of the craziness, after all of the tension, after all of the conflict, all of the shit that's going to come up for you over the weekend, most likely, this sextile between Mercury and Chiron can bring some healing realizations, conversations, understandings, communications, and can help us see things a little bit differently, which is definitely welcome with all of the energy happening right now. So that's the weekend in a nutshell. It's gonna be interesting. I'm very curious on Monday morning to see how everybody's weekend went. So if you're watching this right now and you're a little worried, I'm sorry. Like I really do try to come on here and get you amped up and excited for the day, but this is more of like, be prepared for the energy coming. But if any of this resonates for you over the weekend, come back and join me on Monday morning and let me know what came up. I mean, just selfishly, it's really validating for me to know that this forecast resonated for you, but also we can support each other, right? We can share our experiences. We can learn about the transits, tune into the transits together. So come back on Monday. Let me know how this all felt for you. All right, let's do an overview and then we will pull a card. And I think we really freaking need a card today. I need a card today. Okay, so we have an intense weekend in store. The moon in Pisces makes several intense connections on Friday. Hold on, let me pull this up while I do this. We have so many transits to go through. So first, the moon in Pisces forms this sextile to Venus retrograde and this conjunction to Neptune to start our Friday, making us more confused about our desires, our values, our long-term goals, especially in relationships. Then the moon gets support from Pluto, really bringing up those deep emotions and activating our most intense sensitivities. The moon moves into Aries on Friday night, giving us a new lease on our energy, which is certainly welcome. But Also, on Saturday, the Sun forms a conjunction to Venus retrograde, which is really going to shine a bright light on all of those Venus retrograde issues. It could be much easier to fall back into past patterns, past versions of ourselves, to be nostalgic about past relationships, or fall back into past beliefs about money and finances. The moon in Aries forms a sextile to Mercury on Saturday, helping us to understand higher perspectives, making us a little bit more social, a little bit more outgoing. And then the moon forms a conjunction to Chiron, activating our deep wounds and maybe making us a little bit angry about them, making us a little bit more impulsive or reactive. The moon really packs a punch on Sunday. That first quarter moon in Aries squares off to Venus retrograde, the Sun, and connects with Mars, which could bring a culmination of all those Venus retrograde emotions that we felt when the Sun formed a conjunction on Saturday afternoon. So we can be needy, we can be more mean and emotionally reactive. This can bring conflict in our relationships and conflict within ourselves. We can be more irritable, more stressed out, just more willing to go there, and not necessarily in a good way, more willing to go to war. The moon squares off to Pluto to end the weekend, which could bring a pinnacle moment of release or ego death in order to be reborn. But if you're not at a point where you're willing to do that yet, this could just intensify our emotions even more and make us feel a need for control or power. A couple other transits. Mars is opposite Lilith, which can make us a little bitchier on Sunday. And the last transit that is giving me some hope for the weekend is a sextile, a supportive angle between Mercury in Aquarius and Chiron in Aries, hopefully helping us gain a higher understanding and see a different perspective around our healing and have some nice supportive conversations, communications about how to move forward and how to do things differently in the future so that we can continue our healing journey and start to help others heal as well. All right, that was a lot. It was a lot. Let's pull a card, you guys. I'm holding the selenite, like, give me strength. Okay, let's pull a card. This is your chance. Ask your questions. Thanks for the love, Susan. I think you can probably sense that I need the love too. You guys, this Venus retrograde is just like twisting the knife. For real. Okay, let's pull a card. I'm pulling from one of my favorite decks, Work Your Light by Rebecca Campbell. It's always so spot on, especially when I'm in need of guidance, and I am in need of guidance today. So, let's see. Woo! We had some cards fly out. 2 cards. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. I love when the cards fly out. I should have just started this live stream with the card pull. I think I would have been a little bit less doom and gloom. I'm really not trying to be doom and gloom, you guys. I'm really trying to be gentle about these transits, but got to be real with you too. Okay, here are our 2 cards. Trust Your Path and Warrior Woman. Okay. Let's read what they have to say, but already I am so excited for these descriptions, for these messages from Spirit for us today. Okay. Interesting. These cards are right next to each other in the guidebook too, so very fitting. Okay. Trust your path. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? The universe is conspiring. Keep facing your true north. Your job is not to pave the path, but to simply keep facing your true north and take one step after another. If you do this, you can't go wrong. The universe is conspiring. Don't waver or doubt. Use your heart as a compass and put one foot in front of the other. If you follow the invisible trail of what lights you up, you will light up the world without even trying. Most people don't follow the highest call of their soul because they're waiting to see the end destination before they take the first step. If you take one baby step each day, within a year, you will have taken 365 steps in your dedicated direction. If you want to write a book, write a page every day. If you want to change careers, do one thing every day in dedication to that. Before you know it, in just a year from now, you will turn back and look in awe of how far you have journeyed. Keep moving and open yourself up to a whole new level of support and receiving. Things are not going to work out the way you're planning. But if you have a little faith and keep showing up, they will work out even better than you could ever possibly imagine. Don't micromanage the universe. Trust your path and let your soul lead the way. Trust, trust, trust. Trust that any conflict that comes up, any tension you're experiencing is all part of the path. All part of the path. Okay, let's read the next card as well. Literally the very next card in the guidebook. Warrior woman. Have you answered your deepest calling? You are here for a reason. You are being called to bravely pave a path. Have you answered your highest and deepest calling? Living a heart and soul-led life is not all fluffy and smooth sailing. Living a heart and soul-led life requires courage to triumph over fear. Yes, what we needed to hear. So often our fears are the gatekeepers to our greatest gifts. And the more resistance we have toward answering a call, the more important it is for our soul's growth. Sometimes fear is an indication that we are facing the right way. Joan of Arc was known for her courage and her famous line, "I'm not afraid, I was born to do this." But the thing about courage is that it is not possible without fear. So if you're feeling afraid, what is needed for courage? And courage comes from living from the heart. Think of your fears as opportunities to expand rather than things that are holding you hostage. If you look at your fears in this light, then as uncomfortable as it might feel, it's actually a sign that you are on the right track. Have you answered your deepest calling? Perfect cards for today. They always are, but especially after going through all these intense transits we'll be walking through together over the weekend. A lot of this Venus retrograde energy, a lot of the connections with Chiron that we talked about, a lot of the connections with Pluto that we talked about are going to bring up those fears. And a lot of times that inner tension, that conflict is just fear manifesting as anger or sadness. So recognize that fear is necessary to have courage. You are strong enough to walk through this. Trust that you are on the right path. Know that you are that warrior, especially under the Aries moon this weekend. That warrior energy is going to be strong. You have got this. This is the universe telling you, you've got this. Especially if you have already figured out what your calling is, keep taking those baby steps towards it. If you haven't, any conflict that comes up over the weekend could be revealing to you that you are not fully embracing your highest calling. Right? That inner conflict could be a sign that you're meant for more. So again, whatever comes up for you this weekend, observe it. Ask what it's showing you. What is that fear? What is that anger showing you? What is the universe teaching you? What lessons are you here to learn right now, this weekend? Those are my questions to you. And Susan, yeah. Okay, you have to tell me about this Venus retrograde story. Like, DM me on Instagram because I'm really curious as to how your Venus retrograde is going. And I have some stories to share of my own. So, girl, let's chat. Let's dish together about Venus retrograde. I got you. I can definitely be a sounding board for you on this because I'm right there with you. Venus retrograde has been a rough one this time around for me. I'm not gonna lie. Especially, think about Christmas. We had that conjunction between Venus retrograde and Pluto. So like, a lot of those themes are still playing out, you guys. This Venus retrograde is an intense one. Again, Mercury goes retrograde this week. You got this. You're here. We're walking through it together. I've got you. Keep showing up to the live streams. I'll keep showing up too. As long as I have a voice. And together we will get through this energy. We will pull the lessons from the pain, and we're going to come out of this weekend even stronger. And yes, those cards are fire. Just what we needed, Susan. Just what we needed. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for walking through the energy of the weekend with me. I will break up this video into chapters so you can go to each day more easily if you weren't able to catch the full live stream, or if you want to revisit day by day to kind of align with the energy of each day. So I'll be back next week. I hope to see you on Monday with some feedback on how your intense weekend went. We can talk with each other about how that energy worked out for us. And we'll also have new episodes of The Spiritual Journalist, an interview next Tuesday that's going to be all about energy and spirituality and infusing that into your business. So I'm really excited for that interview. And I'm really excited for you to meet Ashley. Ashley Linan is the guest I'm going to have on. We'll be streaming live on 111 at 111. And she has an amazing energy, and you need to experience it, and you will experience it even through a screen. I promise you. You can also go follow her on Instagram right now to get a little bit of a preview, but she's fantastic, and I'm super excited for her to share her energy with you. So we have a lot to look forward to next week. We just have to get through the next 3 days first. I hope you have a wonderful weekend too, Alex. And I can't wait to see you guys on Monday morning. Can't wait until next week. Yes. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. I hope that you can walk through this weekend with grace and ease, and that the transits show you what you need to know to become your highest self. I love you, and I will see you next week. But until then, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.